So anyone who does not want to be in on a recorded session, unfortunately, you will have to leave now or click to accept it. The process will be, no, Leisure World Technology, but yes, this is the iPhone lecture. The Apple Club closed a few months ago. Come. We have chairs all around. I am happy that we're not doing this in our little computer center. Oh, come on, screen. Don't do this to me.
Alan, Susan is screen sharing.
The screen has frozen?
No, Susan Gallo is screen sharing.
Oh, I'll try and eliminate that. Thank you. Haven't seen that happen before.
No.
So at this point, I'm going to mute everyone except for Ron online, so he can have the meeting quietly to himself. Come, we have more chairs over here. Let me do that first. And Ron will be unmuted. Okay. So Ron has information prepared for us. And as I was saying earlier, if you have any questions, hold them, write them down, hold them to the end. If people who are online have questions, you can put them into chat for the host and we'll read them at the end, but we'll let Ron go unimpeded. So Ron, I am turning the meeting over to you.
Okay, I'm going to start screen sharing here. Well, we just did it 3 minutes ago.
There you go. Can you go to the full screen size?
Hope should be able to, but let me just make sure everything's working. Okay.
Perfect.
That's an ugly screen. I just was playing around and okay, I'm Ron Masi. Most of you may know me. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try and cover all the items on the screen right now. And I did say we'll learn, but I crossed that out, as you can see, and said cover. There's not going to be too much time. I've decided that we're going to cover what I think are probably the more important things. Some of you will be bored on them because you know it already. And some of you, hopefully most of you, will say things like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. That's my aim. So these are basically the things we're going to go over. On each of the topics, we'll talk about why, briefly, why would you want to do this? Maybe after you see that, you won't be interested and you can take a short nap. Then how to do it, then how you set up your iPhone to do it, and then maybe some tips on using that particular feature. First thing we're going to do is talk about some terms. Sometimes I hear people using a term for something on the computer that's completely different than the real term. That's important because if you're calling for help or talking to somebody on the phone and using a word that means something different to you than it does to them, then it's going to be a long phone call. Basic terms. OS stands for operating system. That's the system in your computer that lets it do what it's going to do. If it's an iPhone, it's called iOS for an iPhone. Excuse me. If it's an iPad, of course, it's called iPad OS, and if it's a Mac, a desktop computer, what? It'll be Mac OS. Important feature that we'll go into in a few seconds is cut and paste. You hear that a lot around people with computers, and people are cutting and pasting all the time, and that's one of the things that you'll all want to know how to do, and we'll go over that briefly. And it's just a great thing, I think. So I use it all the time. The thing you have to remember is sometimes we use cut and paste as meaning both of these terms, copy and paste and cut and paste. If you copy and paste, that means you're going to add something to another place. It's going to stay in its original location, but it's going to be added someplace else. Get one of these cough drops in me. If you cut and paste, if you cut and paste, that means you're going to delete it from where you got it and put it someplace else, but it's gone from the original location. A lot of people get that confused. I can't see the top of this screen, but it says there's two kinds of people in the world. There's Apple people and there's Android people. Little cartoon. Apple is the company that makes the hardware and the software that you use on it. That's probably the big difference, that Apple makes the machine and it makes what's running on that machine. In 2007, Apple came out with the first phone that had a screen interface. That's touching and moving things around on the screen without a physical keyboard. Some people call Android anything that is not Apple. Android phones use the Android operating system developed by Google, and then it can be on many kinds of different phones, Samsung phones. I don't know all the other ones, but it's open source basically. Android phones make up 70% of all the smartphones in the world. Now, I guess I'm biased, but when I go around, all I see is Apple phones, iPhones. What's happening is the world takes in a lot of people, and a lot of people that cannot afford to buy an iPhone. iPhones cost more than the Android phones. Apple has about 56% of the United States phones are iPhones. This is a little boring. We'll get into the meat in a few seconds. First thing you need to know is, what do I have? I don't know how many times people ask me, what kind of phone do I have? What operating system am I using? What do I have on my phone? Well, here we're going to look at how you can find out real quick. Again, it's easy. You go to settings. Settings is that little gear looking thing up the top in the middle of the picture. You tap on that. It brings you up a whole list, like you can see on the right side of the screen, a whole list of what's there. And it scrolls on forever. I mean, it'll drive you crazy. But for this, you want to find out what do you have. So you go to settings, and then you tap general at the bottom with a big circle around it. You tap on general. That'll bring up a screen that looks like this on the right. Now you notice we went from settings to general. Look on the top of the screen, and the left is in blue is settings, and then we went to general. So you get a feel for where you are in this crazy file system of where you are. It'll show you, you went from settings to general. Once you get into general, you tap on about. And here's all the stuff that it's going to show you. It's going to say what you called it, what version you have. Can you guys see my mouse? I don't think so.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yes.
We can.
Okay, good. It'll tell you the model name. So you know what model you got. Somebody asked you what model. The model number, you'd probably never need that. The serial number says my coverage is expired as far as getting help or insurance with Apple. Ignore that. I've had a lot of expired Apple products over the years. Insurance goes away. They don't cover anything for, you lost it or something. But as far as getting help, and we'll talk about this a little more in detail, they'll always help you. They'll always help you. I've never been turned down. I had stuff really outdated and they called me. It tells me more things. It tells me how many songs I have, how many videos I have, how many photos I have, the capacity, and it goes on. There's a big list there, but now you know where to go to find that stuff. Somebody says, what version do you have? You can go up here and look. Oh, one thing I want to cover very quickly. You'll be getting a copy of this presentation. Hopefully I made the slides good enough that you can just figure out what to do by looking at the slides again. But you'll be getting them. So don't worry about trying to.
Yeah, we'll be sending it to everyone who got the meeting notice.
Okay. Okay, we're going to talk about copy, cut, and paste. Again, we're going to do, this is the big overview of stuff. There's a lot more details, but this will get you going. Covered this a little while ago. Copied material remains at the source and is also in the new place. So you copied it from one place and you added it to another place. You do this in everything. When I say copy and paste, you can do it in everything. I mean, everything that we're going to talk about and everything else that you're going to learn, you can use copy and paste. Copy. Cut and paste means you're removing it from the original place and it's moved to the pasted location. So most of the time, it's better to use copy and paste, and then go back and take it away. But that's, for example, I'm going to copy and paste something from a website. Can be anything. It can be in a book you got. It can be another email you have. Anything. And later on, we'll get into what everything is. It's basically everything. This is an example of a website on, I guess it was CNN the other day. You rest your finger on the text. Look at the green. You rest your finger on the text somewhere on that text, and it'll show up blue. You can see how this portion here is all blue. And then you drag these little bars. See the bars here? You drag them to cover up as much space as you want. The hard thing here is, for this whole program, is if you're not used to using dragging and doing things on the surface of your iPhone, it takes a little getting used to. And then all of a sudden your fingers learn how to do it, and you say, why was that so hard? But it's just practice. So in this thing, I could have started in the middle, but pretend I started here and I drug the other bar, they'd have both been together, and I drug it down to here. And then I tapped copy, word up here.
Hello.
Somebody's talking.
Hi, Louise, how are you? Doing well.
Please mute yourself.
Mute, could you, person talking mute so I don't have to find you? Go ahead, Ron.
I'm
Okay.
on Zoom from about phones, but
Yeah, but we can hear you.
It's Edith.
Edith, we can hear you. We don't want to, I don't know, maybe everybody else does. I know Edith quite well, that's all right.
I'll get it straight. How about that? Is that okay?
Muted you. I'm going to find you and unmute you. Ron, can you
Okay, I'll have
unmute
that.
yourself? You got it.
I got it. Okay, so now we've selected this blue block of text. Again, it can be from anywhere. And then you notice up here, for our purposes right now, we're going to use copy. But there's a whole bunch of other things over here. You can say, maybe all that stuff's in German or in Japanese or in Mandarin. Maybe that, you can say translate. And you click on translate and it's going to translate that for you. And it'll talk back to you in English that you set it up to do English. Okay, so again, when you get this, here's all the instructions on the left side. Then you tap copy.
I tried it and
Oh.
I couldn't copy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't ask questions, can't
Oh.
answer questions now because we have to wait to the end because we'll get down a rabbit hole and we'll spend half an hour on a question. So please wait. It'll work, just practice. Okay? Now I missed a slide here. After you type copy, it'll ask you, where do you want to put it? And where you want to paste it to. That slide is not here, my mistake. It'll give the option of where you want to copy it to, and I picked an email. It come up with a picture, where do you want to copy it to? And I said email. So then it comes up with this email. This is an email. Who it's going to go to, who it's coming from. And down in here, I paste, right there is a little mark, you'll see it on the email. And I do paste. So all those words go into the email. Don't have to do any more. And there it is. There's my email. It's coming from me. I have to fill in the subject. Here's the text that was copied. And it says, you know, that's another thing you set up. I sent it from my iPhone. That's all I have to do. And up here on the right, there's a little thing for sending. That'll save you so much time in doing a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, next item. Control Center. Control Center is something new, relatively new on the iPhone. And why would you want to do that? Well, there's a lot of steps to getting to do something, but this makes it so much easier. They describe it as one-step access to shortcuts for actions like enabling or disabling your Wi-Fi, your cellular data, turning on airplane mode, raising or lowering the volume, or the display brightness on your device. I had about 8 slides on how to do something. And then I said, well, that's dumb. Why am I showing him the long way? Here's the easy way to do it. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. On your phone, drag from the top left corner, top right corner, down to the bottom left. Just follow that white arrow. That's called swiping. You just swipe your fingers, one finger, and please remember this. One of the big problems a lot of people have with swiping and tapping. You don't have to mash it. Very lightly, just like a little pussycat or something. Just come on down. Just pull it down from the left, gently. It will work, and yes, your phone is really old, like 6-7 years old. But it'll work. Again, it's the practice kind of thing. This is any screen on my phone, any screen, and I put my finger in the top right and slid it down to there. You don't even have to go all the way.
Excuse me, Ron, I don't know if it's just my machine or not, but when you move your mouse, there's a whole bunch of delays of your arrows. So,
Sorry, we have to hold off the questions till later.
no,
even
I'm
if it
talking
is-
about
I understand. We
patient
all
itself.
have some problems, so please
Okay,
mute.
I'll try not to use the mouse too much. So you're swiping diagonal from the top right to the bottom left on any screen. And this comes up. This will open up. It doesn't label it anything on the screen, but this is called the control center. Whoops. Now, all these things are shortcuts to things you want to do. I don't know how many times I've gotten questions, people saying, my screen went blank and I don't know how to fix it. Well, you go in the control center, you look at the little thing in the middle, go to slow the mouse up there. See the mouse? Little bright little symbol there. Just drag that up and down like a capsule, a medicine cabinet capsule, and it'll brighten and darken the screen. The one right next to it, to the right, is the volume of your iPhone. And I guess another thing I should have mentioned in the beginning, there are many, many ways to do the same thing. So maybe you learned another way. Well, that's okay. Use whatever way you want. I'm showing one that I think is easier, and there's probably an easier way than this, but okay. On this screen, you have other options. You can put your phone in airplane mode. The little airplane at the top left of the black side of the screen. You can turn on and off your cellular data, which is on the right. The little one, I'm not going to cover all of them. This one here looks like two television screens or two screens. That is to put your, say you wanted to put your, what's on your iPhone on a television set. Just tab there. You have an Apple TV. It'll come up with the Apple TV and you just click on there. And then that'll be on, then whatever is on your iPhone will show up on the television. Down at the bottom, I know we're skipping around, but I'm just hitting the highlights, I hope. You'll see a picture of a camera. Obviously, that puts your iPhone in camera mode. You have a picture of a calculator. Got a math problem or something. You have a plus sign. We'll visit that one in a few minutes. We got a thing that looks like radio frequencies. That's if you want to record something. If you're in a meeting and you want to record something, or you want to blackmail somebody, you could push that button and it'll start recording. But I'm not going to go over all of them. There's a little one that looks like an alarm clock. Well, yes, that's the clock. And another one is the flashlight. Okay. Now we're jumping away from that a little bit. We're going to use that magnifying glass that we just seen. And why would we want to magnify something? Well, I got advanced years up there. Some of us are, most of you guys aren't, I'm sure. Or we're trying to read a menu in a restaurant, print small and it's dark in there, we can't see it. tiny print on stuff. It seems like they're using tinier print all over the place. On your pill bottles, labels, you ever buy anything from Apple and they have little instructions in a little folder that are gray, they're almost impossible to read. And if it's in a place that you can't really see, like the back of your computer, or I don't know, a hard location to see, we're going to see how you can make this work for us. You go into the control center, that's thing here, you know how to do that now. You swipe down from the top right to the left, you get this type of thing. Yours might look a little different, stuff might be in a different place, but you'll be able to figure it out. So you opened up Control Center, then you tap on this little icon that says magnify. It doesn't say it, but it's got the little magnifying glass. Now, this is a screenshot that I took. This is on my desk. This is my keyboard and back. And this is what happens when I hit that button. Whatever's in the back here is just whatever the phone was pointing at. Now you take your camera, because the camera's working now, and make it and focus the camera on the text. Or whatever has the words on it, or whatever really. Of course, you have options here. We'll go over them very quickly. You can reverse the camera. You can, maybe it's in a dark place under a cabinet or something, back of a cabinet. You can turn a flashlight on so the camera will see it. I won't go over all of them. This is an important one though. This is, you can think what this is. This is the, slide it over here to make it the image look bigger, okay? And it does a great job. We're going to look at it in a second. Over in this corner, the red circle, that's the area that we're going to expand. So that's not any words there, but I thought this was a better example. It could be words. So there's, you're holding your camera up, looking at something through the camera. And then you take this the yellow stuff at the bottom and you drag it over and watch the difference. And if you notice at the bottom, the thing is not even all the way over. So it does a pretty good job, I think, of magnifying something. Now we'll talk about screenshots. Everything that you see here that I'm showing you, I've used screenshots to take a picture of something and put it in this presentation. Why would you want to take a screenshot? Again, this is one of those things that most people would use a lot. Save something for future reference. You can do a screenshot that's really of this program. It's called a screen video, I believe. I forgot the exact term, but you could do that. But why do it? I mean, if you're calling somebody for help on your computer, something's not doing something right, you might want to take a picture of that part of the screen or what's looking funny to you, or anything. If you're in the grocery store or something, say, oh, that's the brand I really like. I'm going to take a picture of that box so I'll remember it. When I order something from Amazon, I take a screenshot of the order so I know what it is and when it's due and that kind of stuff, or any other ideas. But you're taking something to use to remind you of something, or that you want to look at later. Here's the definition I should have had. A screenshot is a single picture of from a
I
computer.
unmuted it, start video.
Somebody's talking, please. And you can just read it there, I'm sure.
Oh, wait a minute. I should mute myself.
Somebody's whispering now. You can be heard. There you go. You got it now. Thank you. Okay, if you have an older iPhone, if you have that blue button like at the bottom, that's an older one, okay? And on the top right, we're looking at the screen. On the top right side is a button. To take a screenshot, you have to press down both buttons at the same time. Again, this takes practice. Your fingers got to learn how to do it. You put them down and up at the same time. If you don't do it, it'll shut off your iPhone and you got to start it up. I've done that several hundred times before my fingers learned how to do it. But that'll take a picture of the whole thing that's in your camera, that's on the screen, whole thing that is on the screen. If you have a newer phone, okay, you're looking face on at the phone. On the left side, there's two buttons. They're volume buttons. Louder and lesser volume. And on the other side, that's your on and off button, basically. You got to hold them down at the same time. Again, practice. And you'll shut your phone off a lot, and then you just have to hit the power button, this one here again, to start her back up. So it's no big deal, but it's very aggravating, and it makes you feel stupid. All right, one of the big things that residents here have an iPhone for is to share pictures of the grandchildren, pictures of trips. And the application that Apple uses is called Photos. It's not what they use, it is their program. And I call it a photo album on steroids. Like everything else that I'm talking to you about here, it is part of your purchase of the device. We're not buying anything new. It's all Apple stuff, and it all comes already on your device. It's very good at editing photos for most users. It's probably even better than very good. Now, if you're a super photographer, you probably want to invest a couple $100 in Photoshop or something like that. But for most of us, this does a good job, a very good job. And it's also great for keeping track of your photos. Some people ask, what do I need to keep track of my photos? And the answer is nothing. To me, the answer is nothing. It keeps track. You can talk to it and say, show me all my pictures of Aunt Edith, and they'll all show up. Or show me all pictures of dogs, and all the dog pictures will show up. That's, again, we're just scratching the surface here, but that's going to talk about sharing, because now you got these pictures and you want to send them to your grandkids of your trip or whoever. So now we're just going to talk about sharing your pictures. I opened up my Photos program, and this is the screen, this whole big thing. It's telling me that I got 17,194 photos. I got 457 videos. And it gives us some examples up top. These are all photographs. I guess the most important thing to remember is at the bottom left here, called library. Library is where all your pictures are, every one of them, in order of when they were taken. You can go by years. You can say, okay, show me all the ones taken in 2021, and they'll all show up in a group. Or you can say, I just want to see them by month, and you can see them grouped by month. Or you can pick a day. If you made albums, you can make albums on there. You can say, like, make an album of pictures, my trip to the Forest Glen or something, you know. And there's a thing here that's called For You. Again, we're looking for photos, and we're trying to figure out how to find them. For You, I think, is probably the most useless thing there. Apple decides what pictures you like the best and puts them in groups for you. Now, that might be fun, but it's a little hard to search. Or you can go over here to search, and if you put names on your photos, keywords are called, you can say, you can type in George, and all the pictures with George in it, it'll show up. Or you can say Rocky Mountains, or whatever you notified a picture. So now you're finding pictures that you might want to send to somebody. Normally, you want to go into the library and pick the latest ones, because you just come back from the trip and now you want to show them to somebody. Here's a bunch of pictures that it's found. And if you tap on the picture, a little check mark will come up. And then if I was, say, down here, and I could just tap right here, and it'll put a check mark next to that picture. So you can check as many as you want. Here it's saying I have 3 selected, one there, and one over here. Now it's saying, what do I want to do with them? So first thing is to tap the images. And then at the bottom, the little thing, that's called a share button. Again, all these things will be the same throughout all the Apple applications. There'll be share buttons on everything. That means, well, I'll tell you in a few seconds. There's a share button, there's a trash can. That means, of course, I want to throw it away. So you tap this share button. Now you get this option. It says, how do you want to share it? You want to use it by AirDrop? That's when you put your device next to somebody else's Apple device, and then they just go over there. You can send it in a message, or you can send it in mail, or you can send it in notes and other places. So in this case, notice it's got my wife up here. And it knows that I normally send pictures back and forth to her. So that gives me I don't have to look for anything. I just click on that, and I'm going to send her some pictures. In this case, I picked mail for this example. And down at the bottom is the picture. I can't scroll down, but you can look down the bottom. That's one of the pictures, and all 3 of them are there. I'm in mail now. I didn't have to do anything to get there. Also, all I do is tap the to, who it's going to go to. It automatically knows, mail automatically knows who I am. So that's filled in. I put in the subject, and I can send it. That's done. That's all done. And it goes to her. There's no limit on how many you can send. You can send a whole bunch, okay? Photos has a thing, the Photos program that you have for free, and you have it on your devices. They started out, if you took a picture of a plant or an animal or a bird or statues or landmarks, it would tell you about them. You take the picture instantly when you go into the Photos app and look at it, there'll be a little squiggly thing in the middle of the picture. You tap on that and it'll tell you this is an azalea bush, and then it'll give you all kinds of information about an azalea bush, stuff that it gets off the web. They keep adding things to it. You take a picture of a bird and you say, I don't know whether that's a cardinal or a whatever that other bird that looks like a cardinal, and it'll tell you. Landmarks, it knows that, and they're adding things all the time, but I think that's sort of neat. That's called visual lookup. You don't have to do anything, you just take the picture and then you ask the picture, what is that? My wife's part of the gardening group here, and they take a picture of a tree to see what tree they want torn out or bent over or whatever that is. Also, it can detect, it can find the edge of an object. For example, if you have a picture of a dog and it's running around in the field with a lot of trees and everything, it'll know the edge of that dog, and you can select that dog and remove the dog from its background, or person or whatever, and just send that picture there. Okay. They have a thing called live text. You can take a picture of a sign, a road sign, a menu, anything, if it has text in it, a carved wooden sign, and then you can copy and paste that text. It recognizes text, and you can take it and copy and paste that somewhere. That's something new in the last maybe a year or maybe less. It's called live text, and it'll recognize set on a road sign or something. So you're not limited to just written documents. If it's carved in wood, if it's handwritten, it's not too good at that yet, but it's new. If it's written in long, I didn't mean hand, if it's written in cursive, it can figure that out pretty close. So you just highlight it and copy and paste it. And then, of course, you can make phone calls. But I got mail here. That's funny. Let's see what we got. That's your iPhone. Ignore that envelope. That's mail. On your phone, you can silence unknown callers. Now, the trick here is you have a lot of applications on your iPhone. One of them is called Contacts. Contacts is like a Rolodex. You put information on all the people you want to contact. If you have all your contacts in there, and then you make this selection, silence unknown callers, when somebody's calling you, and it does it in seconds or in milliseconds, if you click silence unknown callers, if they're not in your address book, the phone doesn't ring. So they'll leave a message and they'll be in your messages on your phone, but you won't be bothered by them. We're back into settings. We go into sounds, and you can play a different sound. You hear people with their phones ring differently from different people. If it's Cousin Joe, it's got one kind of sound, and if it's Dolores, it has another sound. You can go into here under sounds and pick up the ringtone that you want. Because here, I'm running out of time. Hang on. Siri, Again, we're just doing the highlights here. Siri is great. I love it. My wife is starting to like it. Here's what you can ask. Siri is a voice, an assistant inside of all your Apple devices, all of them. I call it a her because mine has a female voice. You can change the voice to whatever you want. You can say, Siri, if you're looking on at a website or something, say you're in Japan and there's a menu there, you can take a picture of the menu and say, hey, Siri, translate that menu, and she'll read it to you or print it out, not print it out, but put it in English on your screen. You can say things like, what's the weather? How are the Commanders doing if you're a sports fan? What's the deviation of cosine X? It'll do the math problem for you. What's my day look like? And then it'll tell you, well, it's going to be rainy and you have this appointment. And don't forget to call Uncle Joe. You can say, set the alarm for 7 a.m. You can ask her, what's the capital of Germany? Or you can say, call, message, or email my wife. Call my wife. She knows the number if it's in my contacts, so the phone will start to ring. Or I can say, for example, send an email to my wife, tell her that I'll be home a little late. It'll show up on the screen and I just say, okay, and it goes. You can say, what is 18 times 4 divided by 1.5? And you'll have an answer. Or you can just say, what can I ask you? And she'll give you a whole list of stuff. And she's pretty snide. You can get fresh with her and she'll let you know. You're looking at a picture, you can say, send this to Aunt Jane. Again, these people have to be in your contacts. How do you say thank you in Mandarin? Set up a meeting with Bill for Friday at noon. She'll set up the meeting, she'll notify Bill, and she'll put it in your calendar, and that's all you have to do. Read this to me. Take a picture of something, or you're looking at a website. Now just imagine all these things if somebody had a disability. Can't read well or can't see well. Add this to Notes. There's a program in the phone and all the Apple devices called Notes. And you can say, hey, I can't read this right now. Put this in my notes. It puts it over there. There's a program called Music. You have any music in there? You can say, play Ray Charles. And she'll play Ray Charles, all your Ray Charles sounds, or whoever, of course. You can say, take pictures, the camera comes up. You don't have to touch anything. Almost anything and more coming. You do have to set it up. I got to be careful because I can't say these words. I'll just start doing stuff. Here's how you set up Siri. You go to settings. You look for Siri and search. That brings up this screen. Now, if you look at the top of the black screen, on the left of that black screen, it says settings. So I went to settings, and to the right of that, it says series and search. And then I'm saying, listen for, hey, Siri. She's lying to me now. She didn't come up. Now she's going to listen for you to say those words. Or if you go down one, it says push a button. There's other choices. I like the hey Siri. She's winking at me on my phone. But that's options that you have. For this, we're just talking about listen for that word. Siri understands about 340 languages and 14 different kinds of English, like Scottish and Australian, etc. So, well, once you do that, you can get her to do all this stuff for you. Almost everything. Mail. Now we're in mail. Some people get confused with Apple Mail. Mail is not a mail account. It is not like Amazon.com or Comcast.net or whatever. It's a mailbox on your computer that takes your mail from all your accounts and puts them in one place. So, for example, you could have I forget all the other names, a Comcast account, email account. You can have a Fox account or a Gmail account. In Apple Mail, puts all those accounts in one place. You click on Mail, puts them all together. Again, if you want, and it's easy, then they're all right there. It doesn't care where they come from. You can sort them by date. Again, all the apps work together with contacts and messages and reminders. I used to get upset years ago, and this is not happening much anymore. Some people would buy an Apple computer, and I'd be talking to them about stuff, and I ask them, well, how do you check your mail? Well, they go to Amazon, Safari, which is the browser, Apple's browser, and then they type in gmail.com. Now they're in Gmail, and then they type in their password and all to get into their Gmail account, and now they're reading their mail on a website. And that's the way they've done it. That's the way they thought you're supposed to do it. Well, it's not the right way to do it. When you got mail here, you click it once and there's all your mail. Fast and easy to use, no long to log into your website. And the way you do that is, you go to, say you want to add an email account to Mail. Again, Mail is a program for keeping track of your mail, not a program for getting your mail. You're getting your mail through your Verizon or whatever else you got. You go to Settings, Mail, Account, and then Add Account. So here I am, I'm in Mail. I went into Accounts, top left. Then I went to Add Account. Now here's a whole list of different emails. That makes it easy because that gets all the information for you. You click on the one that you have, or if you're not listed with those up there, you click Other, and then you can see on this second black image, it says I picked Other at the very top. Then you said add an email account, add a mail account, and then you fill in the information. Now, once you got mail set up, here's my mailboxes on the left. This is mine. And you notice the first one is all mailboxes. Then I got a Comcast account. I got an iCloud account. And I made special mailboxes for VIPs, people that are important to me, committees I'm on and that kind of stuff, unread, etc. You can make your own mailboxes, but it's all getting the mail from these top three places. I clicked on, look on at the red arrow, I clicked on all mailboxes, and then it says on the right one with the white arrow, I got a letter, I got an email from Don Warren, and you know, there's a whole bunch of them there, but there it is. That's all I had to do. Didn't have to go log in anything separate. And then I made all these other mailboxes. These are all mailboxes I made. Dropbox, Fat Cow, I don't need them anymore, but you can make your own separate little mailbox to put all of your stuff together. And they're all in one place for you, but then it puts them in these other little mailboxes that you can go in and check. Hey, did I get information from Apple Help? where'd that all go? Yeah. That's TMI there. Again, once you get mail, we're in mail. I got a thing from somebody here. At the bottom of the screen, I can throw it in the trash, the green arrow. Or this one here is do something with it, basically. And I click on that. It gives me the option to reply all, or forward to somebody, or throw it in the trash, or flag it as important. And this middle screen and the screen to the right is one under the other. So the middle screen and the one to the right is underneath it if you just scroll down. You can move it to junk. That's what we like to do. You get all this junk, right? If you move it to junk, the program remembers that email address. And if something else comes from that email address, it puts it in the junk automatically and you don't even see it. Okay. And there's other ways to sort mail out and everything like that, but notice it says here, future emails from that address go directly to the junk folder, not your inbox. The trick there is from that address. These people who are sending out junk, just send them from 8,000 different direct addresses, you know. Still might be from Joe's Pill Shop, but he's just using a different email he's sending them out on. On your phone, when you get a mail, it'll look something like the top up here. You want to get rid of them, you swipe it to the left. Again, we're back to swiping again. You swipe it to the left, you'll get to what's in the bottom part of the screen. Notice that it has 3 dots in it. One is to, well, let's work our way across. In the middle is save it. In the middle, I'm sorry. Starting on the left, if there's 3 dots anywhere like that, in any program, it means more. There's more options. So in this case, we tap the more one. And it tells me, what do I want to do? And I say, I want to move it to junk. Okay. I think I'll stop now and open it for questions. Anybody have a question? Because I got to leave in a few minutes.
Yeah, I have, this is not a question, Ron, this is Gabe. I just wanted to make one suggestion
Sure.
regarding the setting to silence unknown callers. I tried that, and then after a while, my car dealer called me to tell me that my car was ready, and the call went to voicemail because the car dealer was not in my contacts list. And I've heard stories from other people getting calls, say from doctors, calls that they were waiting for, and they went to voicemail. So that's a handy option, but use it with caution. And I eventually stopped using it because I could never remember to turn it off when I was expecting a call from somebody not in my contacts list. And, you know, it seems like an automatic way to miss calls that you might actually want to get.
That's an excellent point that we've done here. The guy from PPD that tries to call and it goes to junk. So yes, you got to be very careful with that.
Okay, for questions, this is Alan Solomon. For questions, if you would raise your hand, that's under reactions. And do we have anyone? And in the room here, we have another microphone you have to use if you have any questions. Right now I'll call on Helen. Helen Louise Pettis, and you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. I've enjoyed this and waiting to see the recording, particularly for mail management. However, I'd like to know, how do you set up to make auto request in photos?
Excuse me?
Not
How
sure
do
what you
you,
mean.
Ron said you can do auto voice requests in
Oh,
photos.
you just say, hey Siri, show me this.
Through Siri. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's the thing you have to remember. All this stuff works together. That's one of the, in my opinion, that's one of the benefits of Apple stuff. It all works together. The other, I got to tell you this, Apple stuff does cost more. I love it. But the main reason I love it is I can call them up and I don't wait on the phone very long, maybe 5 minutes, maybe,
That's for sure.
and say, I have this problem with this, and then you say, well, oh no, that's made by somebody else, and we don't know how to do that or that. Hey, you guys, you're responsible for everything, and I just like it that way. That's that, and I don't work for Apple.
Ron, so
Yeah.
that you don't move around on the screen, would you raise your hand and just leave it up? That'll put you in the upper corner.
Oh, okay, good.
And then next is Julie Friedman, and you're muted.
Yes, I'd like to know, you said that we can put on the screen something that we're watching on the phone. I don't have an Apple TV. I just have a smart TV. So can I put something that I'm watching on my iPhone on my smart TV?
I don't know that. Does somebody know the answer to that?
Yes, there is a device that you attach to your television having to do with Apple TV. I'd suggest you go to an Apple store and they'll get you more information. But I have seen it done. It does work, and not something I do myself.
Okay, thank you.
Julie, I guess.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes, thank you.
Helen.
Yes, way back in the beginning, I've used copy and paste for years on my laptop, but I've never used it on my cell phone. So when you were showing how to do it, I couldn't even get that little paragraph highlighted. How do you do that?
Rest your finger. Again, we're talking about nice, easy touches and clean hands and clean screen. Just lay your finger on somewhere, anywhere in the text, and it should come up. Any other thoughts, anybody?
Yes, Helen, my suggestion, and for everyone here, if you have specific tasks that you have trouble with, come into the computer center. I'm an Apple user. I'm there every Friday from 2 to 4.
Okay.
So I can show you that, just so that you're aware. People who use PCs, a lot of the functions you can do by telling them what you want to do and then selecting it. With Apple, they've always made it so that the first step you do is select it, and then you choose action. That's part of the learning curve of using Apple products, but it does work. But again, there's no way that we can demonstrate for everyone how to do a specific topic.
Okay.
Ron
thank
did
you.
the best he could.
Good, thank you.
Okay. We have Susan Urban, and you are still muted.
Yes, thank you. I actually had put my questions in the chat, and I'll read. There were 2 questions, and the one I'll read first that's more important to me is that Ron started to touch on at the end is storage capacity and fees or subscriptions for storage. Where and how to store, the photos, for example, or messages, whatever documents you want to store, from your iPhone, how much will that cost, and how how do we avoid spending inordinate amounts of money every month to keep it?
It's I don't know the exact account. Somebody know, Gabe might know. I think it's I give them $10, I believe it's $10 a month. And well, you just saw how many pictures and all I have. I never had to give them any more. I think the minimum is you get so much free. I think it's 5 gigs, correct me somebody. And then if you want it more, it's a little more, but I don't see it as being exorbitant.
Yeah, I have something to add to that. Apple has unique ways of managing memory, sharing between cloud and devices, fairly complicated. And again, the biggest hogs of memory will be photographs and music, because those are files other people create, or they are by their nature large files. And again, if you want some guidance, you can contact Apple support. They do a good job of getting you through it and of looking at your account as it works. Just as a warning, all Apple devices want to work with something called iCloud, which is the confidential and secure exchange medium by which the devices talk to each other very efficiently. Just so you should be aware, Android does the same thing with Google, but we're talking about Apple. And so it's necessary to have that set up that does most of it. You don't need a lot of memory, especially on your mobile devices. And then the activity gets to be fairly technical. So it will be common for people to use support services by Apple support. And as Ron said, they are excellent at it. They'll walk you through it on any of your devices.
Let me say a few things that I neglected to say. I'm going to talk for a couple minutes. Getting help. There's several places you can get help. One is Apple, 1-800-MY-APPLE. 1-800-MY-APPLE. They're excellent. Another place is a website. It's my favorite. It's called macmost.com. That used to be free for everything for years and years and years. I don't know how the guy ate because he had another job. Now they're starting to charge a little bit, not much, but there are plenty of on there that is free.
Sure.
Ron,
MacMost is MACMOST.
Correct. .com. It's excellent. It's, to me, it's the best one out there. He shows you videos, he talks you through it. And he's got, anyway, the other one is just go into your browser and say, you can have Siri do it. Hey, Siri, oops. My stuff lights up when I say that, quiet. You just say, you ask.
Is there something else I can help with?
Exactly. You ask
Did
and
you
it
hear her?
talks to
He
you.
said, is there something else I can help? Yeah. Okay. You can just go into your browser. You can type it in or ask that person, how do I do this? How much storage should I buy from Apple? It's nice to put the word Apple in there because then it weeds out the other product. I guess they're the three main things. You can always, Alan's in the computer center on Friday. I'm going to try and work out a schedule so I can be there sometime. I've been away from there for a long time. But that's the three big ways, I would say.
We'll be happy to see you regularly back at the center. Susan, did you have another question before we go on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you for asking. It wasn't so much a question for me, but for other people who are not as comfortable with touch screens. as some of us are. You know, how you've said try it lots of times, you'll get used to it. But in the process of trying, I know a lot of people with either fat fingers or diminished hand control that have a hard time tapping gently and selecting things gently. Any suggestions for them?
Apple has a lot of in the settings. There's a thing called accessibility.
Right.
Accessibility. I've had a few articles in the Leisure World News over the years about that, and maybe we'll put together a program on it. How people that have bad eyesight or have their fingers move too, like you were saying, they can't type right. They built a whole bunch of stuff to help people with tremors, that's the word, or some kind of disability. I don't know if that's a good word anymore, but so these people can do things. One of the things, like you can dictate, like I think I told you this, you can talk to it and have it write down stuff. And it's getting better and better. I mean, start a letter and it'll guess where the periods go, or you can tell it. And the more you use your voice, the better it gets at it, because it gets to know you. It's like a friend. So there is plenty of that. I mean, there are plenty of accessibility features. Go into your phone and look for accessibility. And a lot of them are things that people who don't need them yet, I like to say, could use. So just go in there and look at them.
Yeah, well, the downside is that if you have already activated accessibility on your phone and you've increased the size of everything, if you have vision issues, then you can't see everything on one screen at the same time anymore. So it's a trade.
Yeah, they're fighting those kind of things that happen. You got to scan your screen and that kind of stuff. But there's a bunch of technicians working on how to make that better. So
great.
We
Thank
have
you.
someone in the room. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm sorry.
Hi, it's Andrea Goldberg. With the latest update, they've installed obviously a security feature that your screen will shut down and you have to put a password in for it to come up again. Well, I just do it literally every 10 to 15 seconds. If I don't make a selection, the screen goes blank and I have to do it again. How can I extend that time so that it's not shutting down after 15 seconds?
you were talking about an iPhone, or?
Yes,
Please.
iPhone.
Go into the iPhone, go into settings. And I forget what it's called. Somebody help me.
Screen lock. It's called screen lock.
Screen lock.
Screen lock.
And just so you're aware, go to the top of the settings, the very top. And if you see there's a search box in
Yes.
gray, put in screen lock, which I think is the name for it. And we'll go on, by the way. So these are the custom things that you would come in or you would work with Apple for. And that will probably show you where it is. Again, different phone makers, different device makers call something differently in different circumstances. And in fact, I once spent a day till I finally called support because my phone wouldn't ring. And there are 5 different ways to silence your phone. And the way I had used, by the way, was a little red button on the side, the external one. So, when you get lost, you can really get lost. It's
Nothing
Do-
here, nothing
yeah.
here.
okay. Then come into the center and
Okay.
someone will help you with it.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it's called the duration of the lock.
Yeah, something like that. It'll say, lock my screen after 1 minute, or 5 minutes, or never. It'll be something like that. And it gets to be really difficult finding your way around in all those settings. So use Siri to do it. I'm sorry. I have another call I have to go on. Anything that somebody thinks that only I can answer, and then I got to get on another.
We have
Sorry.
Mike, and I guess, and I'll continue here from the
Sure.
center.
Yeah.
Please, would everybody give their thanks to Ron? This was magnificent.
Go, Mike.
I hate for you to leave and miss this, Ron, because I know the answer to how to project from your phone to your smart TV. It's really not hard. You showed us early on when you swipe down from the upper right corner, you get a whole bunch of options, including the airplane screen and the flashlight and all that. There's one in the middle that are two sort of concentric rectangles. And if you press that, up will come screen mirroring. And when I touch that, I get kids' room, kitchen TV, living room TV, master bedroom,
Yeah,
Mike's
yeah.
MacBook Air. Those are all ones that I have set up to work with my phone. So anything on my phone, if I were to select living room TV, then the living room TV would, assuming it's on, okay, would come up, and then I would see what was on my screen, and I could go to whatever it is. And here's just a little secret. Carolyn and I do our Wordle together every day on using this, where we can sit in our easy chairs and look at the Wordle up on the big screen. And that's how we do it. So
And
it's
that work, that's without Apple TV.
No, it
Without Apple TV.
requires a login, and it's done through AirPlay.
yeah, and
I'm
everybody,
sorry.
So the
I
TV
gotta
has to be
leave.
Activated for AirPlay.
okay.
Thank you guys so much, and let me know what else we need to cover.
Thank you, Ron. And
I'm
the
sorry, I
last
gotta
comment
go.
I had was everything needs to be on the same Wi-Fi network.
Correct. We have Nancy.
Yes, hi. Quick question. When you can set up in your email, you can set up a signature that shows up every single time that you send an email. So I've got Nancy Ballou, which is automatically typed. But my husband, he put in Bill, but it also says sent from my iPhone. How can you turn off that sent from my iPhone?
There is a place where the signature is loaded. It's within the mail, and on a computer, it's called Preferences. On a mobile device, I don't recall, but quite honestly, you can make it sensitive to circumstances. So I have 5 mail accounts, and each one of them has a different unique signature. And sometimes you put a signature on a reply, sometimes you don't. The options get to be pretty staggering.
Okay, I can't find it, but I'll look some more. I'll ask Siri.
You can, correct. So I have a couple of questions from Susan. We have gotten to those. Okay. Lori had asked, are there photo sticks to save, sort, etc., photos, other things? Do remember, a iPhone is not a computer. It has only one physical access port, and that is what's called a lightning drive on the editions that are out now. So a USB port will not go. Some people do get adapters to it, but also the file structure on a mobile device, an iPhone or an iPad, is different than others. It's customized for this type of computer. And this really is, by the way, it is a computer. When you make a call, has nothing to do with the old landline calls you used to make. You can see that it takes time to register and all of the other functions it do. It's creating a computer activity when you send and receive calls. So all of this is calls. I do believe there are such things as flash drive sticks. I have no idea how they work, and I have no idea what level of compatibility they are. But again, an iPhone is designed to work with non-physical contacts, namely iCloud. Once you work with Apple to set up your iCloud account, which comes free with every Apple device, and it can link many devices together. Once you do that, most of your storage problems tend to go away. Again, if you have 17,000 photos, you are going to have to pay for that storage. But remember, it's not stored. All your phone sees is what's called a thumbnail, a tiny little version of it. And when you ask to see it, it hasn't been in your phone. It's been in the cloud. And in the time it takes to expand, that file is sent down. So file speeds, transfer fees are enormously faster than they had ever been in the past. Does that answer your question, Lori? Yes. Okay. Mr. Goldberg.
Hi, I just wanted to comment on you were talking about thumb drives. There are some drives that actually have a plug at both ends. It's a USB on one end and it's a lightning plug on the other end. And you can use those to move files back and forth between the Apple world and the Windows world.
Wonderful. Thank you, Gabe. And again, it depends on the file types, etc. Yes, hang on a second. By the way, Gabe is our advisor to other organizations.
I had a question about deleting pictures. For instance, if I wanted to delete one picture, sometimes it'll come up, delete 5, a burst of 5. I don't want to get rid of all of them. I just want to get rid of that one picture.
Again, that's an example of specific tasks. Come into the computer center,
Okay.
or an Apple store, or somebody who's an Apple user, and for help with that.
Okay.
Go ahead, use the microphone. For people who did not sign in, did not contact Leisure World Tech at gmail.com, send an email to that saying you want to receive the information from the iPhone. And by the way, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is not available for view immediately. We're storing it on this computer, but we don't have the facility. We haven't set up the facility yet to allow anyone to retrieve it. We have to work on that. We're, again, just beginning these lectures, and this is honestly the first one we've hosted this year. Before I depart, do we have any other items? Any other questions? Yes, go ahead. Hold on. Your name?
My name is Debbie Pomerantz, and I just wanted to say that, first of all, this was wonderful. This is just what I needed. And I want to follow up with it so that I don't even know where the tech center is. Is it?
The tech
here?
center is in Clubhouse 2, just past the office.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that many rooms in here, and it is a permanent space. Used to be called the computer center, now the technology resource center.
Okay.
And we have about 20 computers available for use.
And is there somebody to help me there other than Friday 2 to 4?
We hope to get more experienced volunteers, and anybody here who does, we'd love to have you, and we're working on training programs for our volunteers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alan?
Helen? Yeah. Helen, do you want to say something before I shut down? You're
Alan?
muted.
This is Susan. May I ask you before you shut down to put your
Go
face
ahead,
in the
Susan.
camera so we can see what you look like, those of us who are online?
What's that? Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm the one sitting in front of the camera.
Thank you.
And again,
thanks.
final chance, Ms. Pettis, go ahead.
I'm trying to find, I've had it before. I'm in accessibility, can't find it. I've lost the icon for my magnifying glass.
Again, that's an individual one. Come to the computer center.
Okay. Okay.
Or to someone
Okay.
who uses an iPhone, and they can
I'll
show you.
find it.
Julie?
Yes, Mike Thompson, you said there
I'll
was a
get it. I'll
way
help
to, uh,
Hang on a second, Julie. I was just helping someone else. What is that? Start again?
are you talking to me?
Yes,
No?
Julie.
Okay, Mike said he knew how to put on the screen onto a smartphone, whatever you have on your program. But I was just working with that and I couldn't get anything. Is there some way, do you volunteer at the computer center that I can come in and maybe you can help me with that?
Yes, but I don't know how to do it. When I looked myself, it involves an additional program, I believe, called AirPlay.
Yes,
And
that's right.
essentially, you have to register the two devices to talk to each other. And that's probably something you should best do either with Google Help, with help from Google. How do I activate this feature? Or contact Apple support at 1-800-MY-APPLE.
If anybody's interested, I probably shouldn't do this, but if you send an email to Leisure World Tech and just mention my name, I'll see. Carolyn is my tech person, and unfortunately, she's not here right now. But we might be able to come up with some way to tell people how to easily do that, making sure we check all the boxes.
Thank you for offering that help.
Sure.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, for everybody.
Many thanks. This was great.
Is it necessary from time to time to let it rest, turn it off for?
No.
You
Simple
can keep
answer.
it on till-
Till the battery burns out, you're fine.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't. But I burn out batteries. It shuts itself off. Everybody, thank you for coming.
Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much.